you be a part of this 2020 Candidates Forum hosted by our Navarro County Bar Association and the City of Corsicana. Our moderator, who has led us for several years now in this annual forum, is Carrie Donica, who is an attorney in town. She is the city attorney of Corsicana. And without further ado, Ms. Donica, I will turn this over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Keithley. Welcome to all of you. We were very excited to be able to get together and talk to our city council candidates. Unfortunately, the challengers were both unable to be here. So we're going to hear briefly after we do introductions of our elected officials that are present. I want to tell you the elected officials that are present are Mr. Mike Dowd, who's on the ballot for Navarro County Tax Assessor Collector. Welcome, Mr. Dowd. His beautiful better half, Sherry Dowd, is our county clerk. I think y'all may be the only couple that work at the courthouse together in elected positions. That's awesome. Although, of course, they've had to move Mr. Dowd to another venue so that, you know, we didn't have any nepotism going on or anything. Also present is the Honorable Judge Amanda Putman, our County Court at Law judge, who is on the ballot unopposed. And I've got some questions for her. Okay, not really. I kind of threatened her with it, but I'm not going to ask her any questions. And her beautiful daughter is with her. Also present is the Navarro County Criminal District Attorney-elect, Mr. Will Thompson, who I'd like to ask some questions of too, but I won't do that. So, exactly. He and I have already decided we're having a discussion about about some of the issues of him coming into an office that has a huge effect on my life at some other venue. Also present is our mayor, Mr. Donnie Denbo, who is a rock star in my book. I had the privilege of serving on our Corsicana ISD school board while he was superintendent, and now serving as the city attorney for him as our mayor. So it's an honor and a privilege to always have him here. Also present is Cody Beecham, our municipal court judge for the city of Corsicana, and we are thrilled that you are here. Also present in the audience is former Mayor Chuck McClanahan, who was an incredibly good mayor for the city of Corsicana, and is here just because he still cares about all the issues in the city of Corsicana, for which we are so thankful. Who did I miss? Parks and Recreation Director, the incredible, amazing, wearing orange. So she's wearing burnt orange because it's October and she can pull it off in October. And as an Aggie, she never wears burnt orange except for around the time of Halloween, fall, so she can actually wear the few items of burnt orange that she has and nobody will shame her for it. She was also available to, what Charlotte's always done for us at our forums was she did the timer, which would beep loudly at people whenever they were talking over their time. But since the challengers are not here, and they certainly were invited at the same time as all the other candidates, they just unfortunately had conflicts. So we are going to, without further ado, we are going to move on to introducing you to our incumbents who are up for re-election and who have opponents. We're going to make this as brief, make it a little more brief, because we're not going to have of course, as lawyer, you know, it's hard for me not to have somebody on both sides, but we're going to have to deal with it, and we shall. So I would like to introduce, first of all, our Precinct 1 council member, Miss Susan Hale, and our Precinct 2 council member, Miss Ruby Williams. Come on up. Yeah, come on down, Miss Hale. I'm going to let you make just a statement about your position, whatever you want to say, 2 or 3 minutes to introduce people to you, although most of them already know you because you've served for 4 years?
4 years.
4 years on the city council.
Duly elected.
Yes, and you would, the election would have been in May, but for
The
the
Rona.
Rona. So, without further ado, Ms. Hale.
So my name is Susan Hale, and I am running again for City Council Precinct 1. I've lived in Corsicana for 16 to 17 years. And okay, I could feel the reverb. But in that time, I've been involved in so many different communities and organizations that we've done to give back to Corsicana. And because I want to make this a place that my daughter, who is 9 at this moment, that in 20 years, she decides she wants to come back here and raise her family here. And I think one of the things that speaks for me of what I've done on the council is that I am conservative at heart in terms of we were able to give first responders a raise in the first time in 4 years, not 16 or 14, but 4 years. And we were able to do that with money that we knew was coming onto the books next year. So I appreciate your support. I love this community. I've chosen to live here. I can raise my daughter anywhere that I want to in the United States, and I choose Corsicana, Texas.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hale. Next, we would like to hear little opening remarks from Ms. Williams. Council Member Ruby Williams for Precinct 2.
Good evening. I'm Ruby Williams, Council Member Precinct 2. Fortunate or unfortunately, I've been there 14 years. And this has been there has been ups and downs there. I'm a lifelong member of, resident of Corsicana. I have raised 2 sons here. One is here and one is in Maryland. And I accepted this position in order to be a voice for the people in Precinct 2 and the whole city. Because, you know, we're all in this together, even though we are separated into 4 different precincts. And I have worked toward streets, I worked toward housing, and there has been more done with the streets and the housing in the last 5 years than it has been in 45 years. We are here to try to bring the city up in Precinct 2. At this time, my precinct is the largest precinct in the city, which has 63 miles of road. Some good, more bad. But we're here to help our people, and if there are problems, we're here to help solve them. And we want the city to know that we are here for the city as well as Precinct 2. And we'd like to say thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. I think one of the burning issues that's been before the public this year is with reference to first responders, and I would like to give each of you a couple of minutes to discuss the issue with first responders as you see it. Councilwoman Williams, how about you first? Talk to us, if you will, about what your thoughts are about the issues regarding first responders.
It's unfortunate.
I'm sorry. Is there, since there's nobody close to you?
Oh,
wanna
you
pull
told
it
me
down
to
your
take
mask? It'll
this
be
off.
so much easier to hear you. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
They want to see my face.
They do. Who doesn't?
Unfortunate that our first responders are unhappy with their finances, but if it was possible, I feel that we would give them what they want, and we'd like to keep all of our first responders as they come in and they're trained and everything. I've thought about this, and I've in another debate we was talking about how could we do it, and I said the growth of Corsicana. You know, in Corsicana at this time, finances aren't as prevalent as they were with this pandemic and unexpected things that come up, and we just have to work toward that. And I feel that maybe in the next year or two we can start uphill with more money for them, because we have some great plants that's coming in. We're going to have some monies. I mean, the salaries are going to be good, and there's several of them coming, and we have a lot of businesses coming into Precinct 2, but Precinct 2, we are there because we are a part of the city, and these finances has to be disseminated among everyone. We're hoping in the future that we can do the raises that they are looking for.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Williams. And same question to you, Councilwoman Hale.
You know, it's an interesting question. The fact is, our first responders are not paid enough. And when I say enough, it means enough in terms of what they do for us as citizens, and not just the city of Corsicana, but Navarro County, but they're also not paid enough in comparison to neighboring areas. And so we're losing first responders. So how do we fix that? And the trick is, one, yes, you get in some great leadership. Chief Henley has done an amazing job. You increase pay. You keep trying to increase pay. You increase the things that make them feel good about their job, just like you do with any other job. You increase the fringe benefits, or you find different ways to pay them. And so what the council did this year, in kind of unprecedented steps, is instead of saying, you know, we're not going to give you a raise or we're going to call it a bonus. The state says that we can't call it a bonus. All of us are going to call it a bonus, but it's officially called a one-time payment in lieu of raise. We've done that before. We've given 6 raises since 2007 to all of our first responders. But is that enough? No. And what did the council do this year? Sorry, because that'll hit reverb. What the council did this year is didn't spend money that we didn't have, because the first thing that you do when you're running a business, you're running a city, and you have a limited pool of money, is that you never say, let me spend money out of my savings account for a reoccurring expense. And so we were able to look and see that we had a TIF, which is a tax reinvestment zone, and say, you know, next year that's going to raise about $550,000 worth of income directly to the city's bottom line, and how can we use that for first responders? But we understood that that need was critical this year. And what we undertook as a council, and it was hard, and it was at 3:30 or 4:30, sorry, Mayor, I know you remember, and we were tired after 3 or 4 hours. And yet we still fought through and figured out a way to say, we know we can pay it next year, and this year, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop a lot of capital improvements that we're going to do with cash. We are going to understand that we have positions budgeted for a position above the line, and that we also understand that we have it budgeted for contract labor, and that we know probably at the end of the year that we're only going to spend about 1 day of our savings account to be able to pay for first responders. Is it enough? No. And one of the things that happened when the firefighters, or actually both unions came to me last year, is 3 days before we were actually voting on our final budget, after having said, we're fine, we want these positions, we need these things, we need this station, we need this, and so we're doing all of those things, and then they come to us and say, well, you know, now we need more money. But you can't do that 3 days before you vote on budget. And so we waited until this year, and we've been planning since January, and pre-COVID, of what it was that we were going to do in order to pay our first responders. And the best thing that we did was that we actually did a salary survey. What are these people being paid? Doesn't matter what you tell me someone's being paid or what Jack down the street tells me Waxahachie's being paid. Do you understand that if the city of Corsicana were to pay exactly what the city of Waxahachie pays, that would be $2.5 million automatically added to the budget. Do you know what $2.5 million to the budget does to you as a taxpayer and as a citizen? That is a 25% increase in your property taxes. Of course, we have to pay our first responders more, but what we're not looking at is that Waxahachie actually has a tax base that's about 5 times the city of Corsicana. So they got a big pie. Corsicana has this pie. Then you also have to look at what Waxahachie's piece of that pie is that they're paying for first responders. Do you know their tax rate is higher than the tax rate that we had this past year? So not only do they have a bigger pie, they have a bigger piece of a bigger pie. Now that's great when we're talking about cheesecake and I'm sitting with you at dinner and I want to share with you and have some cheesecake. We can't compare. So what is it that we've done as a city under the direction of Mayor Chuck McClanahan, Mayor Denbo? We have made amazing strides in economic development because that's what you have to do. You have to increase your tax base. 3 or 4 new companies that are coming in that are investing in Navarro County and the city of Corsicana of more than $50 million. And that takes time. And it takes the ability to go, you know what, sir, you're with this kind of company. We need to introduce you to this person from this company, and we're going to stay out of it. We want you to talk to them and understand. And guess what? That company came here. And that company is going to expand in a year. And they're going to continue to expand because they believe in Corsicana and I believe in Corsicana. So I know our first responders aren't paid enough, and we're doing it, and we have been doing it. And to say that we haven't been doing it kind of falls a little bit along the lines of maybe you're not exactly saying the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hale. I want to thank both of these candidates for being here. I want to thank all of our candidates that came tonight, even though they're unopposed, that took time from their busy schedules to appear and show their support for the city of Corsicana and for our county. Anytime that you take time out of your schedule, it's significant. It suggests that you care about the community in which you reside, that you didn't get elected to a position just so that you would have something to put beside your name, but because you actually do truly care about this city and this county. And I thank you all for being here. And be sure you get out and vote. Early voting is ongoing, and I'm not sure, somebody tell me when early voting ends. October 31st? October 30th, early voting ends. It's a Friday, October 30th, because we know what happens on the 31st, Halloween. So everybody get out and vote. Early voting is going on now at the annex where Mr. Dowd holds court. Well, so to speak, not really court, but so be sure you get down there and vote. I voted already, and I can tell you the line was outside the building, and I was out of there in 10 minutes. It does not take much time at all. They're very efficient. So go vote, and if not, then you can vote on election day. And I believe the law now is that you can vote at any of the voting places, correct? Any of the voting places. You don't have to go just in your precinct. If you decide you want to drive out to Angus, or if you want to come downtown to vote at the courthouse or wherever it is that the polling place is, you can do that. Thank you all very much for being here. Vote. It's important. If it's important enough to fight for, it's important enough to vote for. Thank you. Good job, ladies.